Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Speakeasy Spotlight. I am your host, Ashley Haw, and today we are here to talk about Speakeasy's upcoming production of Little Bear Ridge Road by Samuel D. Hunter. And we are chatting with the director herself, Bryn Boice. Hi, Bryn. How are you?
Hi, good. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course. How's your summer going? I mean, hopefully the sun is shining wherever you are right now.
Yes, going really well. Well, actually no, it's raining right now where I am. I'm in
Oh, no.
Boston. My usual job is at Commonwealth Shakespeare Company, and I've been teaching the apprentice program all summer. So lots of Shakespeare, as you can see. Right?
Very,
Love
very, very
language.
on brand. Yes, of
Yes.
course. And so a little bit about Bryn. Bryn is an award-winning director, educator, actor, and producer, and is also Commonwealth Shakespeare Company's Associate Artistic Director and Director of Education and Training. That's a mouthful. But other recent
Yes.
credits you might know her from include The Sound Inside, The Children, The Book of Will, Into the Breaches, Tall Tales from Blackburn Tavern, and Gloria, just to name a few. So Bryn, so excited to talk to you today about your upcoming show with Speakeasy. We're going into it with three shows this season, which is so exciting, and so cannot wait to talk about Little Bear Ridge Road with you. But before we get to everything with that show, I just wanted to ask you, like, when did you discover theater, and how did you start directing?
Well, great question. I started doing theater when I was young and like school plays and things like that. I was a really shy kid, and I came alive on the stage. I just sort of love to walk in other people's shoes and try out different personalities and things like that. And so I sort of discovered that I loved to be on stage. I loved performing. And when I went to college, I got a very sensible degree in advertising because that's what my parents really wanted me to do. And I realized while I was there that I could double major and no one would be the wiser. So I started doing more theater, and those teachers really encouraged me to get my graduate school degree because I was very, very interested in pursuing theater as a young artist. And I went to grad school for acting, and then I was in New York for 10 years. And then I quickly realized that acting wasn't actually the place where my heart really lived. It was actually with directing. I'm the daughter of two teachers, and so I really I there's something about directing and teaching at the same time that really sort of jazzed me. And so I began directing more, and then I moved to Boston, and I got my MFA in directing after that at BU. And so I sort of my path was from like shy to I can't do anything else. I must have this be a part of my life. So that's the sort of the path, at least to Boston.
Yeah, honestly, I can relate as a shy kid myself and someone who later as an actor myself as well. It's like, you realize, oh, this is something I can kind of explore and flourish in without having to, you know, feel as like scared. But you work through the scaredness. So, and then, dreams change and things can always adapt. And so it's so wonderful that now Boston gets to experience you as a director and, yeah, just amazing. But now with Little Bear Ridge Road, give us the elevator pitch. How would you describe the show to someone who's never heard of it?
It's a play by Samuel D. Hunter, who is really known for like sort of rural settings, and really sort of intense family dynamics, and people working through their communication issues and um, their desire to feel and be connected with each other. And this play is like I think a brilliant example of the thing that he does so well. It's set in rural Iowa, where he is from, and it revolves around Sarah and her nephew, Ethan, and their sort of fraught relationship and them sort of getting back together. And sort of with the backdrop of the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, when people are realizing that the world has changed, and that they are going to go through some global changes, some local changes, and then personal changes and then coming together and having interpersonal changes. So I think we all can really relate to that moment of realization that we need people, and that and there's like a striving for connection and a striving for forgiveness and understanding about how their lives came to be what they were. I feel like it's a very specific story that feels really universal. I know that when I read it, I absolutely, like, I was like, this is my family. Even though my family hasn't been through the things that they've been through, I felt like it was my family. So I really connected
Mm,
to it.
hmm. Yeah, no, and we've been away from, I guess, the pandemic for a little
Hmm.
bit, and maybe we haven't all persisted the way that we could have, just because
Yeah.
it has just been such a ride, and most people just want to leave it in the past. But to have something in a way that's more of a safe way to immerse yourself in that, back into that world, I think is really powerful, and allowing us to, because that feeling of being in the pandemic and needing connection, I think, is so universal, because we literally know every single person, unless you weren't born yet,
Yes, that's right.
which would make you very young, the age of one of my cousins. Unless you weren't born yet, you went through this pandemic, and and everyone who did go through it, who is old enough to understand, will know what that feeling is like, and know exactly what the play is trying to do. So I think that's really powerful.
It's an
And so take us
interesting.
through the process. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. It's an interesting backdrop, because I say I have to mention the pandemic because it is like you sort of have to understand the time period, but the play
Hmm.
is not about that. It's really about their
Yeah.
relationship and things that they need, things that they need to get through to have a relationship. But I feel like you can't not mention it. So that's just
Yes.
something interesting
Yes.
about that time.
Yeah, no, it just it brings you back,
Yes, it
whether
does.
that's a
It
good
does.
thing or a bad
Yeah.
thing. It takes you back to that
Yeah.
that time that in our lives that we don't talk about as much anymore as maybe we should. But take us through the process of how and when you decided to direct the show.
Well, actually, I've been in contact with Dawn, the artistic director at SpeakEasy, for a while, and looking for another project to do at SpeakEasy. I love working at SpeakEasy as a company. It's just a really um, it's a great place to work, really great team. And so I've been looking for something that felt speakeasy-esque, and had been sort of pitching some plays to Dawn, and Dawn was like, but have you read this one? And so Dawn actually approached me about directing it, and I read it, and like I said, I read it and was like, yes, this feels very me. I was like,
Hmm.
I really want to do this. And I think that, I'm from like suburban Kansas City, and I have family that's in Idaho, and that kind of the just sort of the feeling of the people, of sort of people that don't really get represented in plays. I know a lot of people, we talk a lot about this right now, representation. And I never really thought about myself as a, white cisgender woman needing to be, I don't need to be represented. I feel like I'm pretty well represented
Hmm.
in the universe of theater. But there's something about this like rural family, and the economics of that, and the sort of hard life that means, that not everybody understands. I don't see that a lot in the theater. So it really touched me. And there's some things that happen in the final scene of the play that I just feel like that it feels so universal. It feels so me, that I was really glad that Dawn entrusted me with this beautiful, beautiful story. I'm really excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can totally see that. And with what you said in terms of like representation of an experience that maybe isn't always talked about, at least from me personally reading it myself, it wasn't it could be anybody
It could be
as well.
anybody.
Like it
Exactly.
doesn't
Yeah.
have to be, maybe when we think of role, we think of one face, and we'll see obviously with how the casting goes, and that'll determine other things. But at least like from the page, it was just kind of like, oh, this could be anyone, and this could
Any
be anybody's
family.
story, any family in, at least in America, from the
Absolutely.
vibes.
Yes. Yeah.
But but it just really shows you again, like the specific turning to universal, and just being able to represent so many different people in really just a human experience rather than one specific person's experience. So that's exciting. But why this show now?
I think that it is in a time of such disconnectedness, and I keep seeing things about families sort of torn apart by anything from sickness to politics to um, sexuality to really like just a mass disconnection that this play now feels like a really interesting way to explore attempting reconnection and um, and just trying to understand people's motivations and the stories that we paint of our own lives and of our um, the stories that we've told ourselves about our past. This really brings that into like a sharp focus for this particular family and this particular 30 something man who's really trying to figure out where his life is going to go next. I think it is a sort of a shared story between Sarah and Ethan, but Ethan gets to sort of make big decisions in this piece and be brave. And it does not come naturally to him because of the way that he was raised with an addict father, and he doesn't quite know how to live or be human or practice his art. He's a writer. He is having a lot of trouble jump starting into life, and he really needs this connection with his only living relative. So I think it feels very now because of that sort of disconnect that has happened to us all. And so I think it's a perfect play for this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally see that. And so, what excites you about bringing this piece from page to the stage? And again, especially at Speakeasy.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm excited about it because he Samuel Hunter writes in such a way that it's very spare, and it's full of subtext and full of like these sort of beautiful silences where the story hinges sometimes on these beautiful silent moments between characters, and that's something that I just relish as a director, is like helping the actors unpack and find these moments and then helping them to craft the full arc of those moments being put together into the story. So I'm really excited I don't think I can even announce who the actors are, but I'm really excited about the actors that are going to be in this play and
Yeah.
their particular skill at vulnerability and sharpness and wit. It is funny, like it is I would say it's probably going to be categorized as a drama, but it is funny. There are many,
Hmm.
like they're the kind of interpersonal moments that I love to navigate in a script. I love to find the humor in the darkness because we always need that. And the more biting and sharp the humor within a drama, the more I like it and the more I like to sort
Hmm.
of excavate that text. So I'm really excited about that. And I think the shows that I've been able to direct at Speakeasy all sort of have had that quality. The children and the sound inside were all like sort of in the end deeply searing dramas, but there's such fun in them to be had.
Hmm.
And that is something that I feel like for Speakeasy audiences that have been following the company will maybe recognize that in my work. And I think it's a good partnership for this kind of piece.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what was I gonna say? Oh, it's about with in terms of humor and comedy, and like that's how we, alleviate situations that are just too rough. And if this play was literally just only maybe the
Yeah.
dramatic. I don't think anyone would want to go
Yeah.
and see that, because it's like, because then that it just makes it too, almost too real and almost too just devastating, where it's like you need that humor to just lift it off the page a little bit more and allow for the healing to happen, I think.
Absolutely.
They always say laughter is the best medicine, and that's definitely true in the theater. It's like something devastating could happen, but maybe there's a laugh in there a little bit, and it just really allows it to flourish more rather than just being drama, sad, and let's just wallow, which
Absolutely.
can
I
work.
agree.
But humor is always, honestly, in my opinion, I think it always makes everything better. Um, so, what do you hope audiences take away from the show?
I hope that audiences feel sort of the way I did when I read it, that they are deeply touched by the sort of sacrifices that they make for each other, and maybe it causes them to, establish communication, or find a way to connect with other folks, and also maybe even like reignite their desire to create. Something that I think that is an important sort of subplot, finding love, figuring yourself out, and maybe returning to your first love, or the thing that gives you a spark, like for Ethan, his writing. Um,
Hmm.
I think that I hope that they find the whatever that universal thing is in it, for themselves, that we will be telling so specifically with the story.
Hmm. Yeah, no, and we are all on our own journeys, and it's just the way that we navigate and
Navigate.
interact with other people in our life that really just makes it wonderful. It makes life, worth living. Um, and
But
so, more specifically, like with the show, reaching out in sometime in the pandemic, especially, like I know that was a really rough time. Maybe if you're not as good of a texter with your friends, it's like it just feels like harder to connect. And so, why do you think reaching out to others and asking for help is so difficult yet so necessary?
well, I think I mean, when I read this play, I really think about, my own family and the things that we've gone through, and I it these characters need each other so badly, and sometimes we just don't know what the other is going through. And it's very touching. I find the way that they find a way to heal is again sort of told in the silences, and it has a bit of an ambiguous ending, but I know what
Hmm.
I think happens, and so I think that if people can sort of take whatever ending they feel ha happens for them when they watch this, and
Hmm.
navigate their own lives and have great discussion. I mean, I know SpeakEasy is literally the company is designed around hope you have conversations after this. I really believe that this
Yeah.
piece will
Yeah.
have that. And maybe you don't just connect and have conversations about the play with the person that you went with, or the group that you went with, but maybe talk about it with other people that you wish to, reach out to.
Hmm.
That's a hope. Because I think it's really important,
Yeah.
to I mean, I read a lot of like articles about, we what is happening to our world. We're people, we have such loneliness,
Hmm.
and we need to figure that out, and I feel like this leads to conversations where maybe we can figure that out.
Yeah, no, theater is the perfect place to do that. Whereas, at least for me, it's always the show is the fun part. Obviously, it's really fun to be in the room and see these
Yes.
actors and absorb the story. But then the
Yeah.
second part really does come in the after, of where every single person could be having a different experience in the theater, and talk about that with the person they came, like you said, with who they came with, or maybe someone else that they've been needing to talk to for a while and just wanting to share how much they appreciate someone else. And it can really inspire, I think, people to take action and to do something about their situation. And theater is somewhere where we can feel alive and more connected to everyone else, rather than just through a screen or through social media and things like that. And so it is the one place where we can all be together without a screen and just be able to experience and then go out and do something about it. So I really hope that that is what, at least I know this is obviously not about me, but I hope that I would have for people who are going to see Speakeasy shows, because I have always enjoyed going to see all of Speakeasy shows and then talking about it with people after. It's just
Absolutely.
the best. And this will be the third show of Samuel D. Hunter's that Speakeasy has done. And so, why do you think his writing is so resonant with audiences and his stories remain so timely?
He has a really great knack for realistic dialogue. It really feels like he's putting people in these incredible situations that are both small and large. Like I was saying, that's like interpersonal, personal, and global. He has a real knack for the sound of nature and how biting people can be to each other. And I think that is there's something even when characters are kind of being awful to each other, the way that it is done is like it's the kind of theater that makes you go, oh, ooh, that was a good one. There's many of those moments that are like, I
Yeah.
don't know, like just cathartic turns of phrase. I think it's beautiful writing. It's very genuine feeling. I always, when I read these plays, I'm like, he must have lived this in some way. There's a feeling of it that feels autobiographical um, and and very human. I think that's why people are doing his works.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And to end on like a little fun note, I guess like
Hmm.
the characters in this show, they bond over TV show. And
Hmm. Yes.
how do art and entertainment allow us to connect with others?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, they bond. It's so cute and beautiful because I certainly do this with my friends and with my husband and like the bonding over TV shows and storylines and characters that you either understand or don't. Sometimes the bonding is over over hating something, you know.
Mm,
I like we are really hungry for those connections and any kind of art form that one might go and see or one might sit and consume with people and then talk about them. They're all about the human experience, and we really want to understand ourselves. Even people who don't think they want to understand themselves really do want to understand themselves and the world
yeah.
in which they live. And so I think it's incredibly important that we recognize when we're watching stories of any kind, whether it's something that you get and you love or something that you don't get. But like, what are they trying to teach us? They're all trying to teach us something about our own humanity. And I think that they are, arts are really important right now. And it
Mhm.
is really sweet that in this play, that these two people who don't have anything really to talk about when they first encounter each other, that they can use that as a catalyst for discussion and and bringing up harder subjects. And I love that it's kind of about aliens because they are alien to each other, and then they become
Mhm.
not so alien to each other. So I think it's like a fun little thread through the whole play. These
Mm.
extraterrestrials, love
Because
it.
it is really so relatable to just like,
Yeah,
find something to love or find something to hate and to want to find
yes,
someone who shares a
shares
love for
that.
a certain for something that is either fun or fun to hate, as you said. And so I can't wait for everyone to see this play. Um is there anything else you'd like to say either about the show or just about the experience that you hope people have when they come and see it?
Well, I can't wait for people to see who's in the cast. I'm really excited. It's a cool group, and they're magnificent actors. So I think that this is going to be a real treat. And all of these designers are incredible. um, and people that I have teamed up with many times before. So I think it's going to be a beautiful show all around.
Well, I'm so excited. And, everyone who is listening, please, please make sure you get your tickets to go see Little Bear Ridge Road. Remind me of the dates again, because I did not
Oh my
write it
gosh,
down.
it's so terrible. You know what? We're gonna have to put them in post because I'm afraid I only know my rehearsal dates. I don't know the run dates. I'm sorry. I think it
Or
starts
yeah,
on
no, I'm
like,
like, I
do you
totally
have it?
forgot to look it up, but give me 2 seconds. Okay,
Yes,
January 29th to February 20th. There you
there it
go.
is.
There's the
It's like,
time. Go see it within that time, now that we know and are
yeah, I'm glad.
reminded.
Thank you for reminding me.
It's the summertime. I'm not even in Boston. I'm in North
Can't,
Carolina right now. So
I can't think about
things are
January,
escaping mind.
Ashley. Exactly.
We got to get through August first.
I know.
But again, thank you to everyone who is listening. Please, please get your tickets to go see this show and the rest of Speakeasy's amazing season. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.